I think these sort of mercenary people who go into business because they want to make a quick buck, occasionally they do succeed, but I think the odds are much more stacked against them than that person who's found a passion point, found a pain point, and tries to solve it and is getting up every day because he absolutely loves what he does. And that's partly because that's infectious. That passion is infectious, whereas the mercenary stuff is not infectious.
Yeah, absolutely right.
In a leader, the passion of a leader is what enables you to hire amazing people. I'm just trying to make money. You go to a bank. Sorry, no offense to banks.
You talked about their sort of passion for what people do, and the founders or the business leaders that love what they do, they can overcome obstacles and they're driven and they can. Is there any other attributes? I mean, you run Founders Forum, right? So you've had exposure to great entrepreneurs like yourself. Is there any attributes that you're thinking that they all have in common?
I think we spoke, as you said, about passion for attributes of entrepreneurs, but I think the other attribute is actually being a bit unhinged. So I've spoken about this before, that I think great entrepreneurs tend to be unbalanced individuals, at least for the time in which they are an entrepreneur. So that passion becomes an obsession. And I think it needs to be an obsession to win. So there's the competitivity as well, the competitiveness, and I think many entrepreneurs ask why they keep going. It's because they want to keep the score, right? So that's one element. But I think it's the will to win and to get around obstacles. It's tenacity would be the other thing. So most of the great entrepreneurs, everyone hits barriers early on. It's how you go around them that makes a difference. And then the other thing for me is also it's lateral thinking, and I don't think we talk about this enough. We talk lots about rote thinking. We talk about coding. Coding can just be a rote task too. If it's not, what's more important is to teach people how to think laterally. Yeah,
it's interesting because I got a quote here. He said, "I went to Oxford, where, to be honest, the only thing I learned was that was useful was being taught to think laterally and to cram incredibly." So thinking laterally and work hard. That's not too.
That's absolutely. I think
two pretty good foundations.
Yeah, I think it is, and university in general, but in my case, Oxford in particular, was great at forcing you to synthesize large amount of information very quickly. So that sort of adrenaline of urgency and deadlines is very much something you go through. And then what that university was very good at was, as you said, it was that lateral thing was rewarding you for thinking differently. So even before Steve Jobs said think different.
That's right.
I think British universities were there.
That's right. Because you actually say, I'll be quite honest, you need to be somewhat unhinged or psychologically disturbed to be a great entrepreneur. And is that, which is good news for me, but is that because, as you said, I mean, Mike Moritz, we were talking about before from Sequoia Capital, he says you need to be totally obsessed. You'll only invest in people that are obsessed by what they're doing because you're willing to do the work out, the hours, is that?
Yeah, there was one great quote from another venture capitalist who said, how does he test whether he's going to invest in something? And what he does is he starts trying to have a general conversation with the entrepreneur about life or general stuff or hobbies or passion. And like the good entrepreneur will immediately steer you back to their business. He won't go on that tangent because he's not interested. He only wants to talk about his business. So I think that's a great thing. And the reason why I'm not CEO so I'm not nearly as good as an entrepreneur as I think I used to be, is because, and so I've chosen not to be chief executive of any of them, of any of the things I've done, is because I no longer want to be unhinged or monofocused. I want to go across lots of things, which is why I chair all of these things. And I try and work with people who are obsessed as I used to be. Because the trouble is now, I do think, if you're a sane person, kids can break that obsession. And I did used to say that when I was running lastminute.com, there was only one thing I was thinking about. Whenever I was anywhere, whether I was at a restaurant, I'd be thinking about how to do it better, how to get them on our site more, whether I was ordering a DVD, or I was saying, how do we get the service on the system? Everything. So the brain space for anything else was was nil.
So you've got to be willing for a period of your life to put the life out of the work-life balance thing out of.
Yeah, I think it's pretty rare you get great founders or entrepreneurs who say they have work-life balance. I think what you have to have, you get your work-life balance by loving your work so much.